Did we beat the game? Oh my god, I think we beat the game. Is it not over yet? Yep, it's not over. I think. That was fast.
Well, can we fly?
No fuel goes to the Glossair engines.
Damn. Vaughn, you're in charge. I'm checking the engine room.
Right.
You're telling me they ran out of fuel?
Look! Bahamut's Glossair rings are stopping!
Holy shit, is it gonna crash into
As soon
Rabanastre?
as the Strahl's rings move, you take off. Understood? You can fly her, Vaughn. Just do it like I told you.
Don't worry.
Penelo, watch for interference from Bahamut's Skystone. The Strahl's a fickle girl. You keep her working for us.
I'll see what I can do.
Bosh, look after Larsa, will you? If House Solidor should crumble, the Empire would fail, and civil war would take us all.
I understand.
The Lord Larsa is our last hope.
Vaughn, the power's back. We can go.
Right. Let's go. Grab onto something.
Sir, it's the Stroll. She's left Bahamut. She's moving away.
The Stroll. They made it. At last. The Bahamut has fallen. The final test is upon us. The judges shall rule us no more. Main cannon on the Alexander.
This is Judge Magister Gavon. All forces cease fire. I repeat, all units of the Arcadian army, hold your fire.
The battle is over. As of this moment, we have signed a ceasefire with the Shelia Benargan Dalmasca, the Royal Majesty.
Attention, this is Larsa Farina Solidor.
My brother Vane has died with honor in battle. The Imperial fleet is now under my command.
Sir, your orders, sir.
This is Ashelia Dalmasca.
The Lady Ash. Thank the gods you live.
I confirm what Judge Magister Gabranth and Larsa Solidor have said here.
Please stand down your attack. The war is over. Evilise looks to the horizon.
A new day has dawned. We are free. Look, Vaughn, the Bahamut.
A message from the Alexander.
Take it.
Sir.
This is Judge Sargabath, Captain of the Alexander, flagship of the 12th Damascan Fleet of the Arcadian Army. I address all ships in Rabanastur's airspace. The Bahamut must not be allowed to fall on the city of Rabanastur. We are preparing to ram her. Do not interfere.
Madness.
Should she fall, the paling will not hold, and all Rabanastur will be obliterated. All ships, concentrate your fire of the Alexander's remains once Bahamut is clear of the city.
Whoa.
I think it's a little early to be throwing away our lives just yet.
Balthier? Wait! Balthier, where are you?
Oh, Vaughn. Sounds like you made it out okay.
No!
Fine airship, eh?
What does he think he's doing? Balthier!
Marquis, stop that fool judge on the Alexander for me, would you? Just getting somewhere with these glossair rings. Almost done. Don't want him ramming me before I fix them, do we?
Balthier, do you understand exactly what it is you're doing?
Princess, no need to worry. I hope you haven't forgotten my role in this little story. I'm the leading man. You know what they say about the leading man?
No!
He never dies.
I don't know about that. Literally, Final Fantasy X ended with the leading man dying. What the hell, guys? Come on. Balthier, don't. Oh, wow, he actually fixed it.
Fran, power to the glossair rings. Fran? Do I have to do everything around here?
Listen to me, Balthier. Get out of Bahamut immediately.
Please, Balthier, you mustn't die.
Please, Balthier. Come back.
I'd say you're in more of a supporting role.
No!
Fran, please. Vaughn, the Strahl's in your hands. You'd better take care of her, you hear? If there's one scratch on her when I get back...
Roger that. We'll be waiting for you.
Balthier!
Balthier! What? No, what the fuck? No, 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 no. He was my favorite character. I gotta say, this game was a phenomenal experience for me. Despite it being the longest Final Fantasy game that I've ever played story-wise, and the longest playthrough I've made to date, I enjoyed doing it. I finished the game back in May, which is about 7 months since I actually started playing the game. You do the math. I know the uploads were a little inconsistent, and that's because I've been busy with other important matters, and partly because I procrastinate a lot. Still, I managed to finish the game, edit the entire thing, and now that you're watching, finally upload it. Alrighty, first things first, I want to get this out of the way because I always do this in my playthroughs. I want to thank you for reaching this far and following my journey with FF12. You know, one of the interesting things about this playthrough is that I had the most interaction with people because of it. And by that, I mean people actually commented on some of the videos in the playthrough. I gotta say, I was thrilled to see those comments and I enjoyed replying to each one. For playthroughs, I typically don't care about whether the YouTube algorithm favors them or not. I just want to talk about a game with other people. It felt nice that the playthrough somehow landed on their YouTube feed and they actually wanted to comment. Anyway, moving on like I always do, again, I want to give some of my thoughts on the game. I don't plan on going too in-depth because I haven't spent much time thinking about the game to critique it like a review. Instead, my thoughts are just going to be about how the game impressed me, or for a better way of phrasing, what kind of impression the game left with me. Starting from the beginning, I'll be honest, it was slow. I'm usually not a fan of slow starting Final Fantasy games because I prefer something that catches my attention immediately, but thank God I was doing a playthrough because it motivated me to continue playing the game. Thankfully, it managed to hook me pretty soon after the first 2 hours. The entire playthrough was interesting because it was the first Final Fantasy game where I sat down in the earlier parts to actually learn how the mechanics work as they were taught to me. You see, most of the time, I blitz out going through the story of a Final Fantasy game and just quote-unquote figure it out as I progress. And when I hit a roadblock, that's where I sit back and actually start figuring out how stuff works. It worked well so far for the other playthroughs, but it changed for this game. I will be honest though, I didn't intentionally deviate from my usual playstyle just for this game. I was just that intrigued with the game's unique mechanics like the gambit system. Whether I think it was a good idea or not, I won't go into that here, but I will say that's part of the reason why I got hooked. I think the nicest thing about this game is that it doesn't force you to use or learn any of the unique mechanics. Overall, gameplay was super fun and definitely up there with my favorites. Can't really talk about the post-game stuff because I haven't gotten to it yet, which is a good segue to the question of whether I would do a post-game for this playthrough. Probably not, but you never know. If you want to talk about the story, I can say that the narrative itself was pretty damn cool. The execution, I feel like could have been better. As a big story buff when it comes to RPG games, or in this case a JRPG game, I value a game's narrative and the execution of it a lot more than most people. Final Fantasy XII definitely did not have a bad story, but I can't say it's one of the best I've ever played. Actually, most of the things that were a bit lackluster about this game came from the story's execution. The execution includes how characters' backstories and narratives are told to the player. I mean, I found myself trying to figure out a reason that made sense for why the entire party itself works. I understand that they have great chemistry, but I don't understand their motivation to travel as a group. While we're on the topic of characters, stop it. Vaughn isn't that bad. Don't get me wrong, I can see why people hate on Vaughn for being annoying. And he probably also has the least amount of motivation to stay with the party. I still think he's pretty okay though. I mean, he's far from being the best protagonist in the franchise, but he wasn't the worst thing about Final Fantasy XII either. I won't go into who the protagonist of this game was, because there's a debate there. He was a fine character in my opinion, and I think at least some of the critiques went a little bit overboard. Anyway, now that I have Final Fantasy XII under my belt, that leaves two mainline Final Fantasy games left for me to play, which are 2 and 3. I think that fact alone affected the playthrough because I had an arsenal of other Final Fantasy games to constantly compare it to. Even so, Final Fantasy XII still felt very unique, I'll tell you that, and it was just fun. It's not even close to being a bad game, and I do think it's a must-play for people that like JRPGs, especially the ones that came out during the PS2's lifetime. I guarantee that this game is enjoyable, and I have come to appreciate many things that put me off initially, like the script. The script's sophisticated writing was a bit challenging for me. I mean, I grew up speaking English, but not that kind of English. I swear I can read, guys. Anyway, the effort put into the script's English translation is incredible, and I have much respect for the localization team, which, fun fact, is literally 2 people. Kudos to them, probably the best localization in any Final Fantasy game. Now the moment you've all been waiting for, where would I rank this game in the series? My top 4 are pretty solid at this point, so there's no way another Final Fantasy game would beat any of them. So the only question for me now is whether it cracks the top 5. And for me, sadly, it doesn't. I rank it as my 7th favorite Final Fantasy game in the series. For some final words, I just want to say that for all the fans of this game that have it as one of their favorites or their absolute favorite in the series, I get it. I wish I played it sooner, especially when it was out on the PS2. It's a great game and I think everyone should give it a chance, and just cause I have it 7th on my personal list doesn't mean I found the game to be mediocre. I just found that I like 6 other Final Fantasy games a little bit more, and that's a big compliment to the franchise as a whole for having this many great games. Anyway, that's been it for me. Once again, thank you everyone for watching. I'm glad you made it this far and I hope to see you around on the channel or on my next playthrough. Take it easy everyone, and peace out. Oh, one final note about the game. It was very brown. Actually, a brownish beige. I don't know, that's probably just me. Okay, bye.